So this webinar is the first in a series of 4 about PubMed. It's designed to give you a tour and introduction to PubMed features. PubMed is a free online tool provided by the National Library of Medicine, also known as the NLM. NLM is one of the National Institutes of Health, and it's funded by U.S. tax dollars. PubMed is one of the largest and most comprehensive databases of biomedical journal literature in the world, and I'm here today to show you how it works. So let's take a look at our agenda. We'll start with an introduction to the PubMed database, what it is and what is in it. Then we'll explore PubMed features together and discover how to accomplish some of the most common PubMed tasks. And finally, we'll look at how to get help and some additional training resources. At the end of today's session, you'll get a link to the evaluation, which has information about claiming continuing education credit from the Medical Library Association, if you're interested in that. And we appreciate your feedback, even if you don't want that credit to make this learning experience better. Okay, so let's talk about PubMed. What is PubMed? Well, it's the National Library of Medicine's free, authoritative database of more than 35 million citations for articles in the fields of biomedicine and health, with a specific focus on collecting original scientific research. It's used by over 3 million unique visitors a day, including clinicians, researchers, students, librarians, the general public. And there's a lot of ways that you can use PubMed. You can use it to find a specific research article based on some known information you have. You can use PubMed to find articles written by a particular author. You can use PubMed to familiarize yourself with a topic. And because of its vast scope, you can also take a deep dive into a wide variety of topics. PubMed even has patient education handouts, and we'll look at how to add that filter and find those later in this session. So you may ask, does PubMed have full text? What can you expect? PubMed is a database of citations. It's not a database of full-text articles. Nearly 75% of PubMed citations include links to full text, and if you look at articles published in the last decade, almost 95% of those articles provide links to full text. But there's a difference between full text and free full text. Some of the links to full text may take you to a publisher's website, which may require a subscription or a one-time fee. And when a publisher provides full text access, free full text access, that link will be included in PubMed. And when available, PubMed also includes links to full text from PubMed Central, which is also known as PMC. And PubMed Central is NLM's free full text repository. PubMed Central was created in response to the 2009 NIH public access policy that was adopted by Congress in 2009. The policy says that any publications that come out of research supported by an NIH grant must be made available to the public for free. And just so you know, PubMed Central recently launched a new website design so that it has a similar look and feel to PubMed. So now I have a question for you, and you can let me know in chat. If someone asked you if PubMed was a database of free full-text articles, what would you say? How would you answer, yes or no? Is PubMed a database of free full-text articles? Let me know in chat what you would say. Okay, I'm seeing a bunch of no's happening here. All right, no, but there are often links. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for responding. Not quite. And yes, the no's have it. The answer that we teach in this class is no. PubMed is a database of citations to articles. Full text in PubMed is not always available or free. And Liz is going to share a link to a fact sheet in chat that discusses the relationship between PubMed, PubMed Central, and another little thing called Medline. And that's also in your handout. But the big takeaway here is PubMed is a database of citations. It is not a database of full text articles, but many of the citations in PubMed do have full text, but not everything. Okay. So now that we've talked about full text in PubMed, I'd like to switch gears and talk about how to use PubMed and some of the built-in features. One of the most common ways PubMed is used is to locate a specific article based on some known information that you have about the article. So say you come across a news story like this one on the slide. This is a screenshot of a radio article from National Public Radio, study questions mainstay treatment for mild asthma. And so this is a 2019 story from National Public Radio that's reporting on research talking about how the common treatment for asthma may not be as effective as previously believed. And this is something that was in the public news, miasma. Now, the online version of this article had an link back to the original research, but that's not always the case. You might see an article listed in a reference section in a paper, or hear about research on news or social media. So what I'd like to do is take this original research and see if we take this news article and see if we can track the original research down. So what you're seeing here is a screenshot of the news article that accompanied the audio for this asthma news piece on NPR. And the news article has information contained in it, what we do know about the original research referenced in the article. So I've highlighted some clues about some things that we know based on just this news article about the original research. We know that it was published in the New England Journal of Medicine. We know that the NPR story was from 2019, so it's probably a research article that was published in 2019. And we also know that the lead author is Stephen Lazarus, a pulmonologist at the University of California, San Francisco. And I've highlighted those on the screen, as you can see here. And really, just these little pieces of information should be enough for us to find this article fairly easily in PubMed. So what I'd like to do now is go into PubMed and see what we find. Liz is going to share a link to PubMed in chat, and I invite you to, if you can, open another browser window and work along with me, or you can just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Going to hop over to PubMed, and Liz did share that link in chat, so feel free to click on that and hop on over with me. Now, one of the key design features in PubMed are sensors that are built into the search box, and that's sensors with an S. The PubMed search sensors analyze your search terms and try to detect exactly what you're looking for. So if we enter the information that we know about our example, the author's last name, the abbreviation for the journal, and the year, PubMed's citation sensor should detect that we entered some basic citation information and will help us find the article we're looking for. So if you're following along, go ahead and type along with me the author's last name, Lazarus, and then I'm going to type in the abbreviation for the journal, which is NEJM, and I'm also going to type in the date that we think it's published in, and that's 2019. And then I'm going to click search. And this is search example A on your handout, if you have that, if you're working along. So I typed in these three terms, Lazarus, NEJM, and 2019. And now we're looking at the search results page, which PubMed calls the summary view. Notice towards the top, really kind of in the middle here, we have the message highlighted in yellow, 3 articles found by citation matching. So PubMed's citation sensor uses an algorithm to find the citations that might be a match for the article that we're looking for. In this case, PubMed thinks that one of these 3 top articles might be a match. And we see that the third article has all 3 pieces of information that we put into the search box: the author's name, the journal, and the date. PubMed also runs our search normally. So if you scroll down, you'll see other search results that are not likely to be the exact article, but it is all the other search results for those 3 keyword terms. So you get an alternative set of results just in case you were trying to find something else. And we'll look at the rest of the search results in a bit. But for now, I'm going to click on the third result under our 3 articles found by citation matching: mometasone or tiotropium in mild asthma with a low sputum eosinophil level. And then we're going to look at the citation in a little more detail. So when I clicked on the title of this article, I'm taken to what PubMed calls the abstract view. So we have some basic citation information at the top. Just a couple of features here. When you hover your mouse over the abbreviation of the journal name, it will give you the full title displayed. We also see that we have the date, the volume, the issue number, and the page numbers here, as well as the DOI. And then to the left of this citation information, we have a tag for randomized controlled trial. This tag indicates the type of article that this is. So in this case, the article reports on the results of a randomized controlled trial. I'm pointing this out because not every type of article will have a tag, but PubMed will highlight commonly looked for publication types, such as randomized controlled trials, reviews, or case reports. So sometimes you might see a tag that tells you what type of article it is in PubMed. Sometimes you might not. So below all of this information, we scroll down a little bit, we have the title of the article in a larger font. And immediately to the right, if you're looking at this on a browser, you're going to see the full text links that we talked about a little bit earlier. This citation has a link to the journal publisher website. It also has a link to a free copy of the article in PubMed Central. If you hover your mouse over this, it should give you a little message in the bubble that says free full text at PubMed Central. Now, depending where you're accessing PubMed from, you might see a library icon, especially if you're in a library that participates in Link Out for Libraries, which is a feature that PubMed has. So those are where the full text links live. And if you're viewing this on a mobile, a smaller screen, or like a tablet, the full text links will sometimes appear underneath, beneath it, as opposed to on the right. Okay, so below this title, we have a big list of authors that participated in this research. This list can be very long and filled with hundreds of authors and collaborators. You can expand and view more collaborators and the affiliations of the researchers by clicking this plus option next to expand. And as you can see, this was a very large project and there's many collaborators here. And I'm scrolling down, you can also see the affiliation of all of those researchers here. So that's under this expand menu. If I scroll back up here, you just expand this plus box if you want to look at the collaborators or the affiliations. Another thing to note is all of the authors here have a little number associated with it, and that will also give you a quick view of the affiliations. It looks a little messy, but that's another feature that you can put in there. Okay, so we explored the author information and the collaborators and affiliations. And now the next thing I want to point out is below this list of authors, you have a couple of numbers and sequences here. And what I'd like to point out is this PMID. PMID stands for PubMed Identifier. It's a unique number, and every citation in PubMed has one. And the reason why I'm pointing this out is because it's the answer to number 1 on your handout, if you're following along. And Liz has put the answer in the chat. What is the unique number for a PubMed citation called? All citations in PubMed have one. The answer is the PubMed identifier, or the PMID. And this is a unique number that every citation has in PubMed. Now, the reason why I'm going on about this PMID is because if you have a PMID, you can always find the citation by typing the number into the search box and clicking search. And one thing to note, if you do search by just PMID, don't include anything else beyond the number sequence. Don't put PMID, just put that sequence of numbers, because if you add anything to that sequence of numbers, PubMed will not find the citation. So remember, enter only the number found to the right of this colon next to PMID, and that will take you back to just that citation. Another cool PubMed hack is that you can enter multiple PMIDs at the same time, and you just separate them with a space. And let me just show you how that works. So I have conveniently a string of PMIDs, and I'm going to go up to the top of the search box and paste them in. And this is our research article right here, this 3111 number sequence. We'll go back to this. And then there's 2 more articles. And the reason I'm showing you this is you can just enter in these PMIDs separated by a space and click search, and it will then give you just those search results back. So that can be kind of useful. Just going to go back to our original article, because I want to talk a little bit more about what we have in this abstract view. We talked about the authors and the affiliations and the PMID and the full text up here, and then it tells us too that there's a free PMC article available, and that's available here under the full text links. Below all of this information, we finally get to the abstract. And the abstract tells you what the article is about. Most articles in PubMed have an abstract, and this is provided by the publisher. No one at the National Library of Medicine writes these abstracts. PubMed displays what is provided by the publisher. So if a publisher doesn't provide an abstract, PubMed doesn't create one. So that is the abstract area. Now I'm going to just detail some information on the far right side of the screen under page navigation. Page navigation is an easy way to jump between sections on this page without scrolling. Similar articles is a popular feature, and so I'm going to click on this to jump down on this abstract view and take a look. Similar articles is a list generated by an algorithm based on the terms from the abstract title and medical subject headings of this research article. And it is designed to bring in other PubMed citations that are similar to the one that you're looking at. By default, you're going to get 5 articles displayed, but you can see all similar articles by clicking on the message, see all similar articles. Now, there is a link on the handout that discusses how PubMed identifies similar articles, if you'd like to learn more about how that works. I'm going to keep scrolling down this abstract view because I want to show you another thing that you can get on the abstract, and that is cited by. There may be a list of articles that cite the article you're looking at, depending on the PubMed citation. Now, cited by may not be a complete list of works citing a particular item. Cited by is generated using data submitted by publishers and from other resources within the National Library of Medicine when available. But you do have somewhat of a list of other papers that have cited this paper within the PubMed abstract. And you can see everything. Now, just keep in mind that this is not a full comprehensive list, so we do not suggest relying on this if you're doing a comprehensive bibliometric study. There's other subscription resources out there that are more comprehensive, but we do have a cited by available for research articles in PubMed. So I'm going to go back up to the top of this abstract view, and I would like to ask you what other interesting things you see here in the abstract. Take a minute to click around the page navigation and let me know in the chat box anything that's interesting. And I see we have some chat happening, so I'm just going to see what's going on. So let me know in chat what other interesting features on this page stand out to you. Okay. DOI. So one question I see is, what does DOI stand for? And DOI stands for the Document Object Identifier. And again, that is a DOI is another unique number assigned to a research article. It's not related to the PMID. It's just another unique number, and you'll see that across the research universe. Okay. And so some folks are responding here, interesting things, mesh terms, affiliations, authors, to find more papers by the same people. Yes, that actually, we're going to look at that more in depth. There's a real easy way to find more papers by the same author in PubMed, actually from this abstract view, and we're going to take a look at that in just a minute. Grant support, that is another great resource. It will tell you who funded this research. And when you click on the grant support, it will then generate a list of all the articles that were published from this grant number. And so I do want to point out, somebody also mentioned associated data under this page navigation, and I'd just like to show you this as well, because in some cases you can get to other resources provided by the National Library of Medicine, such as MedGen, which is a medical genetics database, and PubChem Compound, that's a chemistry database. And so you can link out to other related information there. You can also get to, in this case, under associated data, you can go directly to the clinical trial under clinicaltrials.gov. So you can search in clinicaltrials.gov and actually go to the clinical trials record on that resource as well. So there's a lot of integration from different resources happening, and it's all collated here on this abstract view in PubMed. So there's lots of jumping off points to get to other other pieces of data. Okay, so oh, and someone else mentioned the figures. That's another good one. And let's see. I don't know. Oh yes, here's the figures from here. So you can also jump and just look at the figures. And as you can see here, we get the trial design and some other data. Okay, so let's take a minute and answer some questions. Liz.
Yeah, so we've got a question. Esmeralda asks, what's the difference between the PMID and PMCID?
That's a great question. The PMC ID is the unique identifier for the PubMed central database. So it works very similarly to PMID, but it would be used within that PubMed central database, which is again that database of free full text articles that is available from the National Library of Medicine. So it's Esmeralda, it's basically another unique identifier. It just is the unique identifier for PubMed Central as opposed to PubMed.
Great. Thank you. Albert just asked if there will be a recording of this session,
Oh,
and they have to hop off, but
okay.
the answer is yes.
Yes, good news. Yes, it will be
Uh-huh.
recorded. It does take a little bit of time, probably at the max 30 days. We try to get it up before then. But yes, this will be recorded. So hopefully you can come back and finish it out.
And then we have another question, and I might ask this learner to maybe clarify in chat. They'd like to know how to find the support for the article. So I'm curious, Mashid, if that's technical support for the article, or if you're curious about some other feature. Oh, and then he's clarified, Molly, looking for information about funding support.
Funding support. Okay. Yes, let's go down and look at this. So grant support. So when you go to the grant support, it lists all of the NIH grants that have funded the research article. When you click on the grant support for these particular grants, it's going to generate just the list of citations in PubMed that were funded by a specific funder. If you want information on the specific grant and grant number, there is another federal resource called grants.gov where you should be able to search the grant number and then receive the information about what the grant was actually for. So in the case of PubMed, it will only, when you click on the link to the grant support, it will give you a list of all the citations of research articles that were funded by that grant. And so grants.gov is another resource. Okay, so great. Okay, thanks.
And then Molly, we've got another question that came to me privately. So I'll just encourage folks, if you do have a question, go ahead and post it to everyone in the chat box so we make sure that we're all seeing them. But this question asks, how is PMCID number created?
The PMC ID is created through it's assigned by the National Library of Medicine in the process of taking in the research article at some point in the pre-publishing process, the PMC ID would be assigned. So it's something that happens when they are preparing the citation to go into PubMed.
Great, thank you, Molly.
And I see one more question about computed author sort, question number 2 on the handout, and we are almost there. I'm actually going to talk about that next. So I think that we covered all the questions.
Yep.
Great. These are great questions, and please keep them coming. And thanks. Oh, I see one more. What about older publications and PMCID creation? That one. Leticia, we're going to have to put a pin in and get back to you. I do not know the answer off the top of my head about older publications, but we can look into that and try to find an answer. Okay. Okay, cool. All right, so now I'm going to show you another PubMed hack. I'm going to click on this PubMed logo on the top left of the screen to go back to the clean PubMed homepage. There is always a way back to this calming blue search screen. And we'll return and explore some more of those features in the abstract view soon. But for now, I'd like to talk a little bit about author searching. One of the most frequent tasks users do in PubMed is to try and find a list of publications by a specific author. And searching by author in PubMed can be tricky because multiple authors might have the same name, or one author might publish under different names. But there's a few techniques that you can use to help discover articles by the author that you want. Now, the most effective way to search for an author is to use the author's last name and initials. You can use up to 2 initials in PubMed, but using just one initial, the first initial, will run the most comprehensive search. And there's no need to tag it, capitalize the name, or punctuate. You just need to enter the last name, first initial, and that will run the most comprehensive search for an author. So, for example, if you were looking for articles by that Dr. Stephen Lazarus, the author from our earlier example, the pulmonologist from the University of California, San Francisco, you would enter his last name, a space, and then his first initial, Lazarus S. And we recommend using that format instead of using the author's full name, even if you know it, because not every PubMed record includes full author names. For example, PubMed only began accepting full names in 2002, and not all publishers supply the full name of the author. So searching for a full name may cause you to miss some results when you're looking for authors. We go into much greater detail about the ins and outs of author searching in our future How PubMed Works session on automatic term mapping. I believe that is next week. So if you're interested in learning more about the full spectrum of how author searching works, I encourage you to attend that next week. So if you're following along, we're finally going to do our simple author search. And I'm just going to type Lazarus S into the search box and click search. So just Lazarus S, and you can see last name, space, first initial. This is going to run the most comprehensive author search. And this is search example B in your handout. Liz has shared that in chat if you want to grab it. Grab the word and copy and paste. So we search the author's last name and first initial, and we get a whole bunch of results. We have almost 450 articles by Lazarus S. And if you scroll through these results, you can see that the name is bolded in the author. Now, remember, this particular researcher is a pulmonologist, and we do see some titles that reflect that subject expertise. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this first article on bronchodilators and see if this is one of our Dr. Lazarus publications. So go ahead with me and click on this bronchodilator. Now, who can tell me where I can find out the author affiliation on the abstract? If you know the answer, tell me in chat. where could I find the affiliation for this Lazarus? That's superscript 1. Great. Hover over the number. That's correct. Or expand. Yes, somebody else got it. There's two ways. There's two ways to get it. So let me see. Let me find my Lazarus. I'm hovering. Oh, and that's a whole bunch of information. And if I looked in there, so if we look in here, you can see, I don't know if it's, oh, it's not going to keep it. Okay, so if you hover in here, you can see that University of California, San Francisco does appear next to the initials SCL, which is our Dr. Lazarus. And as several of you noted, you can also expand the collaborators and affiliations to see more of that information. Oh, there's a lot of collaborators here. And here we go. Here is the here we go. University of San Francisco right here. Okay. So going to go back up here and just collapse that very long list of collaborators. From this page, if we want to find more citations by our author, PubMed has this feature that you can use called Computed Author Sort. And it's really super simple to use. While you're in this abstract view, just click on the author's name. In this case, we're going to find our Dr. Lazarus. Just click on the author's name and watch how PubMed works. Basically what has happened is we now see a list of articles all by Stephen Lazarus. Notice at the top of our search results, we have a message that's highlighted. Results are displayed in computed author sort order. And the very first article is the one that we were looking at. We were just looking at the bronchodilators article is the one on top. So let me talk a minute about computed author sort. What is it? Because an author may have the same name as other authors, the objective of computed author sort is to display additional relevant results by an author. So when you click on an author's name from within a citation, a disambiguation process kicks in and compares citations with the same author name. This disambiguation process also looks at the similarity of co-authors, journal titles, article titles, affiliations, abstract words, subject headings, grants, and publication dates. So computed author sort gives you back a list of articles that it thinks is by the author that you're looking for, and the articles that are most likely to be by your author are at the top of the list. So we have 174 results. The likelihood of the top articles being the same author is going to be higher than the very last results, since they are displayed with the results by your author being at the top of the list. The bottom line for using computed author sort is you basically pull up any PubMed citation in abstract view that you believe to be by your author. So I'm going to click on the second article about clinical significance. Click on the author's name from within the abstract view, and PubMed then runs this specialized algorithmic search and clusters the results by who it thinks is your author at the top. And notice here, I did the computed author sort from the second article. And again, we receive 174 results, which is about what we received for the first time we ran this computed author sort. And the articles at the top are most likely to be by that author that you're looking for. So the big takeaway here is, if you are looking for all publications by one author, go to an abstract view of an article, click on an author's name, and the algorithm will give you back a list of articles it believes to be by that same author. So, oh, I see a good question. I'll get to you in a second. But first I wanted to say, if you're following along on the handout, the question number 2 asks, which PubMed view do you need to be in to get computed author sort to work? And the answer to that is the abstract view. You can pull up any PubMed citation in abstract view, click on an author's name to see articles most likely to be by your author. And Liz has shared both the answer to question number 2, abstract, as well as a link that goes into more detail about how that computed author sort algorithm works, if you'd like to know more information. And now we're going to pause again for some questions. And I see, well, first, Liz, what questions do we have?
Yeah, so I think the primary one I see is regarding computed author sort. Does it include authors that have changed names from being married?
Probably not, unfortunately. Probably not. So that is a system limitation there.
And then, wouldn't it be so nice if it did, though?
Yes, yes. I have more thoughts on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have another question that wonders if citations are created for presentations at major conferences, like a panel discussion. So are things like conference presentations, panel discussions, i- considered
Index.
publication types or indexed? Yeah.
Sure. Conference proceedings are indexed within PubMed. Depending on what the publisher submits, you may or may not be able to dig down on a granular level to find that conference proceeding by a particular author. But for the most part, you can access conference proceedings. It may or may not have that specific abstract for that conference presentation. It just depends on how the publisher is indexing that specific abstract. So maybe.
Mhm.
Great.
And I don't see any other questions at this time.
Okay, great. Such good questions, y'all. Thank you so much. Okay, so at this point, we've looked at 2 ways to search for authors. And the first one was by just typing in the last name of the author and the initial. And of course, we recommend only the first initial for the most comprehensive search. But if you know that they have more 2 initials, you can go that way too. Just keep in mind that not all that you may miss results if you use more than one initial. And then we also looked at computed author sort, which is of course available in the abstract view. It's an algorithmically generated list, and you just click on the author's name from the abstract view. The most relevant results that the algorithm thinks is by your author will be at the top. Okay. So now I'm once again going to clear the slate. I'm going to click on this PubMed icon that's located to the left of the search box to go back to our calming search screen. Because I'd like to shift gears now. We've talked a lot about authors, talked about tracking down one specific article. Now I want to talk about keyword searching, which is another common use case in PubMed. So with keyword searching, maybe it's a topic you don't know much about and you want to familiarize yourself with it. Or maybe you're doing a deep dive into a particular subject. Either way, PubMed has a few features that are built to make it easy for you to just type what you're looking for into the search box and retrieve relevant results. Now, one of the features that we're going to look at right now is called the best match sort order. And this is the default sort used in PubMed. And why am I telling you this? because when you type your keyword terms into the search box, it's going to give you a list of articles that matches those keywords. The best match sort order is, again, it's an algorithm. It uses PubMed analytics and usage statistics. No, I'm sorry. Okay, no. It's a best match. It's an algorithm that looks at a number of different variables to give you what PubMed thinks is the best match for the keywords that you're looking for. Now, the reason why this best match sort order is the default view is because based on research from PubMed, usage statistics, the overwhelming majority of users only look at the first few results of their search. They rarely, if ever, go past the first page. And if you're a Google user or a web browser user, you know that that's true. You probably are not going to go on to the second page of any search results, and that's the same is true for PubMed. So the main goal of PubMed development is to make sure that you see the best, most relevant, and current research right at the top of the screen, saving you time. And that is called Best Match, and it is a machine learning algorithm that places the most relevant citations based on your search terms at the top of your results. And this is also the answer to number 3 on your handout. Best Match is a machine learning algorithm. Now, I want to show you an example of this in action. Finally, we get to some keyword searching. I'm going to search for a couple of keyword terms here. I'm just going to search for caregiver burden Alzheimer's. And I want to show you how this best match works, because even though best match is like the default display, you can change how your search results look, so you don't get best match if you want it like in date order, if you want it by author order. So it doesn't change the search results, it just changes how it orders it. So let me show you how this works. If you search caregiver burden Alzheimer's, and basically I put in my 3 terms, and I have a little over 1,500 results here. And then notice here at the top right of the screen, it says sorted by best match. And then next to that, you have display options with a little cog. Now we have a little over 1,500 results. I'm going to change my display options because perhaps I don't want best match. Perhaps I want to know what the most recent article is about these search terms, caregiver burden Alzheimer's. So I can change my display to most recent. It still retains the same search results, but it has reordered the results in order as they were published, as opposed to the best match. And so you'll notice that the top article is now different. The default best match is going to give you one way to look at the results, and the other sorting options will give you the same corpus of results ordered in a different way. So I'm showing you all of this so you can see how best match just sorts your results. It doesn't search for results. And Liz has shared a link that explains the best match algorithm if you'd like to learn more about how that works. The bottom line here, though, regardless of how you sort your results, you are always working with the same list of results. They're just ordered in a different way. So that is one thing to know about keyword searching in PubMed. You're going to type your search terms into the search box and click search. The best match algorithm by default is going to give you what it thinks is the most relevant results at the top. If you want to change how those results look, you can modify that under display options. That's best match. Now, in addition to best match, the development of PubMed has focused on taking simple keyword searches and then translating them into more elaborate, comprehensive searches. We call this automatic term mapping. Now, automatic term mapping is a fairly complex process, so complex, in fact, that we have an entire How PubMed Works session dedicated to it, and I believe it will be happening next week as well. If you want to really get into the granular details about how automatic term mapping works, I encourage you to attend that webinar next week. So automatic term mapping is another way that PubMed analyzes your keyword searches and gives you back search results. I'm going to, before I move on to our next search example, I'm going to pause for a minute because I see we might have a few more questions. Liz?
Hi, yeah. So I see a question from Maggie wondering, do you recommend adding Boolean terms in this general search in PubMed?
That is a great question, Maggie. You do not need to add Boolean terms if you are just adding or anding terms together. And to take a step back, Boolean terms, Boolean operators, those are a way to connect or exclude search terms. The most commonly used ones are and, or, and not. PubMed automatically ands together all of your search terms. So by simply typing in the keywords, PubMed translates that into and. You can use Boolean operators. They are recognized. So if you use, for example, the word or, which would expand your search, Alzheimer's or memory loss, it would recognize that. It also recognizes not, so caregiver burden, not parents. So yeah, but the basic line for, especially for early users of PubMed, really, you just need to know if you type in a string of keywords, it's going to and all of those terms together. And I'd also like to just say that so there's four parts of how PubMed works, and another of them is on medical subject headings. And that will go in a little bit more detail about using Boolean operators. And in just a little while, we're going to look at the advanced search feature in PubMed, which allows you to build using those Boolean operators as well. Okay.
Great. Thanks, Molly.
Cool. Okay, well now let's go ahead and explore using our search example C. I want to take a look at some built-in tools that are designed to enable you to do a broad search and then refine it using filters. So the first thing we're going to do is a search for acid reflux, all right? And as we were just talking about, typing in these two search terms, acid reflux, it's going to and those two terms together. And this is example C from your handout. I don't need to put in quotation marks, tags. I don't even need to know the proper name for acid reflux. Just typing my keywords into the search box and clicking search. Now, don't be scared by these 40,000 results. This basic search gave us a bunch of search results. And in the center of the page, we have our list of results in that summary view. And that includes some key information like the title of the article, the authors. It gives you in green the citation, gives you that PMID, a little snippet of the abstract. But also notice that even we typed in acid reflux and that those terms are bolded, but we also get some other words that we didn't type in that are also bolded, which is definitely interesting. And we're going to get to why that is in just a minute. But before that, I wanted to point out all the ways that you can repurpose and share these results. So just looking at the very, very top example, on the left side of every citation, you have two options. You have one to cite. Every single result in this summary view is going to give you a cite button, and that will let you grab a properly formatted citation in several different formats. You can copy and paste. You can download the citation and import it into your citation management software. Just a note for those power users out there, the citation downloads as a .nbib file, which is the same format that was used in older versions of PubMed. So if you use this feature in the past, for example, to import PubMed citations to EndNote, it works the same way. And then the default here is the National Library of Medicine citation style, but do know that you can also grab the American Psychological Association, Modern Language Association, as well as the American Medical Association citations here. Okay. Directly below the cite for every article, you have a share button, and that provides a permanent link back to the citation. So if, for example, you're composing an email to send search results to a collaborator, you can copy the article permalink, paste it into an email, send it off. Your collaborator can then just click on that. It will go directly back to the abstract in PubMed. And you can also share this on the socials if you're interested in that. And both of those features are available right here to the direct left of a citation under Cite and Share. Every single citation will have these two features. There's a couple more ways to share and repurpose results. Up at the top of the screen, underneath the search box, we have buttons to save, email, and send articles. So you can use this feature to save articles to the computer, and you can select the ones that you want or don't want, and PubMed gives you a green notification when things are selected, or if you don't want that, you can clear it and it will take it all away. You can also download the entire download citations in a variety of formats. And that's going to be, once I do save, the two that I've selected. So there's a couple of different ways that you can download them. For example, if you wanted the abstract in a text view, you can do it that way. If you just wanted that string of numbers, that's a PMID, you can get it that way. You can get just the simple citation summary via text. So there's various ways that you can download, various formats that you can download your search results. CSV will do a spreadsheet view. And PubMed will give you, if you work in a library environment, it will give you something that looks like a cataloging record. So it will give you field tags and information like that. So that's save. I'm going to cancel this. You can also email your search results. And again, it's remembered I've selected two. You get that you get similar options of how to format your citations to email. And then you simply type in your who it's to, and if you want, you can put who it's from. There's also a send to button, and this allows you to use a couple more features like clipboard, my bibliography, collections and citation managers. So this is another more features, ways to repurpose your results. Okay, I'm going to cancel that. And now just below the search box for our acid reflux search, notice that we have this option to create alert. To use this feature, you have to sign into a service called My NCBI, or create a free account if you don't have one. When you have a My NCBI account, you can then create an alert. Creating an alert saves the search, and when you save the search, you can configure it so that PubMed automatically emails you new search results as they become available on whatever schedule you would want to choose. And one of my colleagues like to tell residents in one of her previous jobs that you can do research in your sleep by setting up an alert in PubMed. So encourage you to check out that create alert. And in order to create a My NCBI account, you simply click on this login and it will walk you through. There's a number of different ways to create a free My NCBI login, different avenues that you can get to, including Google and OrcID. If you click more login options, if you are affiliated with an institution, you may want to check this out. You might be able to do it through your institution. So just looking at one extra one. Oh, that one's not authorized. Well, that's why you don't go off script, right? But anyway, more login options. I encourage you to look for your institution. You can also create a MyNCBI account that way. I'm just going to go back a page. Okay. Now we've looked at several ways to repurpose your search results in PubMed. Cite, share, save, email, and create alert. And I'd just like to pause a minute to answer any questions that might have come through.
Yeah, thanks, Molly. So Letitia has a question about using the send to feature to send to a bibliography. So can you say a little bit more about why a user would send a citation to a bibliography, and if that bibliography is perhaps a feature of having an NCBI account?
Yes, actually, you are exactly right. My bibliography is another feature of the My NCBI account, and it's most often used by researchers who are applying for grant funding, and and they have to build a bibliography to submit with their grant application materials. But that's not the only use case. A student could use it to build a bibliography for a research project. If you're interested, if you're working on a paper, it's a way to collect all of those, collect specific articles into a bibliography that lives within your My NCBI account. So hopefully that gave a couple of examples.
Great, thank you. And I don't see any other questions at this time.
Cool. Okay, great. Well, moving right along, and I'd just like to pause a minute and say congratulations. You have made it through over an hour of PubMed training. I hope that you've learned something. And I'd like to point out that we're working on, we're now at, if you're working along in the handout, we're at answer for number 4. 5 ways to repurpose your results are cite, share, save, email, and create alert. Great, thanks. And Liz shared that in chat too. Okay. So going back to our acid reflux search, we have over 42,000 results here. And I want to switch gears for a minute and talk about how to narrow this large set of search results into a more specific subset. So we have this nice big number of search results for acid reflux. But unless you're doing a very thorough literature review, you probably want a smaller group of results. And the filters on the left side of the PubMed screen when you're viewing in a browser are a way to effectively do that. I'm just going to highlight a couple of features under the filters. There's a lot of different options that you can use here. So first we have this really nice slider menu that shows you the results by year. And personally, I really like this because it can show you when a research topic really started to take off. So for example, COVID-19. Go ahead if you want to play around or anything, vaccines and autism. It's a really interesting way visually to see when the growth of research started to happen. You can also use the slider menu to limit your results if you like to limit things that way. And then PubMed automatically takes your results down. You can reset the slider menu quite easily. You can also expand the results by year. And notice here when I expanded, it will tell me by year how many publications were put out by acid reflux. So if, for example, I wanted to see what was published in 1974, here's 184 results on gastroesophageal reflux or acid reflux from the 70s. So that slider menu is I'm going to shrink it down by collapsing it using those arrows. So that results by year slider menu is a way to explore and limit your search results by date. You also have text availability. Oftentimes, you may not have access to institutional resources, and what you can do is limit to free full text, and that will only give you results that are available for free, linking back to PubMed Central a lot of the time. Or you can limit to only articles with an abstract, or you can limit to anything that has full text, whether it's proprietary full text or free full text. Article type, is another filter that's commonly used. If you're working with students who are asked to find a research study on something, article type can be very useful if they have to, if they're instructed to find it has to be a research study. You can limit by a randomized controlled trial right here default. And there's a number of other article types that I'll show you that you can make appear here as well. If you're working with someone who wants an overview on a topic, you can limit to review. Review articles are exactly that. They review the literature and summarize it for a user. If you're looking for just systematic reviews, you can do that here too. Lots of rich ways to limit by article types. Now, another thing that we found out in our user research of PubMed is that most people like to limit their searches to the past 5 year. So if you need to do that, you can do that, or the past 1 year. You can also do a custom range if you need specific months and days. You can do that using the custom range under publication date. Now, there are a ton of other filters that you can use in PubMed, and they're all located here under additional filters. So if you don't see what you want in that default filters that we just looked over, check under additional filters. I was talking about article types. Say you wanted to add case reports to your filters or clinical studies, you can do that. You can add different article languages. So say you wanted to find articles in Spanish, you can do that. There's some other filters available here as well. And you know what? I forgot. We were also talking about patient education earlier. And right here under article types, here's patient education handout. So I'm going to go ahead and enable that too. So I've selected a number of different filters to show. And now I'm going to click this blue button, Show. Now, I like to call this the PubMed two-step because going through these additional filters and selecting them only makes them appear on the left side of your PubMed screen. It doesn't filter your results yet. We're still at 42,000 results here. Now what I'm going to do is the second step of the PubMed two-step, which is to enact these filters. And the example case that I'm going to use is I want to find patient education materials in Spanish about acid reflux. And the way I'm going to do that is select under article type, patient education. It's going to give me 27. And now down here, I'm going to do article language Spanish. And sadly, there's only 4 results. Hopefully this will grow in the future, but just to give you an idea of how filters can work. You get your default filters on the side. There's a number of other results that you can add under additional filters under this box right here. And if you want all of it to go away, you can reset all filters. One final thing to note about using filters in PubMed is that they are what we like to call sticky. So they will continue to be applied until you clear them. PubMed tells you that the filters are applied. So if you no longer want to use those filters, clear, and it will take all of those filters away for your search results. They will still appear, your filters that you've selected still appear, they're just no longer being used under the search results. Okay, so that was a lot of information. I'm just going to pause a moment and see what questions we might have.
We don't have any questions about filters, but Kathleen did note that she always tells students not to limit their search to free full text because they may miss what they need, unless they're stuck and it's 5 hours before a class.
Great. That is great advice, Kathleen. That is great advice. Spoken like a true PubMed user. Very true. And let's see. I see another, I see a private comment. Is there a list of definition scope for each of the article types? Yes, there is. And that is located under the user guide. This brings me to a great point to point out this user guide. A link to it is underneath the search box on every PubMed page. And within there, you can find information that describes those. Okay.
So
So in the oh yeah, go ahead.
oh, sorry, I see another question. And it says if using month, is it the month of the article or when the article was added to PubMed?
That is a good question under custom range. I am not entirely sure. Um, I'm not entirely sure, so I cannot answer that question. I need to go back and look at that information is probably within the user guide. I just don't know off the top of my head. So it probably is off of publication date, but I am not entirely sure.
Okay, I'll grab that question for follow-up.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Molly.
Cool.
Okay, I think we're good.
All right. Well, great. In the last few minutes that we have together, I just want to go into the advanced search screen on PubMed to show you even more ways that you can construct a search in PubMed. Really the bottom line, especially if you're just coming into using this tool, just type your search terms into the search box and click search. PubMed is going to do a number of things behind the scenes to give you the best search results on top. But as we know, sometimes you need more than that, and that's where the advanced search builder and the history come into play. So to get to the advanced search builder, as well as looking at your search history, you click on the advanced link underneath the search box on PubMed. And just to let you know, this is available on every single PubMed screen. So I went back to the calming blue PubMed homepage, and advanced search is also there. Every single page has a link to that. Okay, so the PubMed Advanced Search Builder. This feature, this space in PubMed lets you search specific fields of a PubMed record, and you can also build quite more complex searches in here. So you can use the Advanced Search Builder, for example, to find articles from a specific journal, even if you're not sure of the journal's name. And what I'm going to do is show you how that works right now. So the first thing I'm going to do is under all fields, you'll see all fields right here. This is a selector for all the different fields in PubMed. And if you scroll down, you can find journal. Now, I'm going to go ahead and choose journal and say I'm not sure of the New England Journal of Medicine's name, right? I don't know. So as soon as you start typing in this, auto suggest appears, and so we immediately get New England Journal of Medicine appearing, and that's to help you also if you don't know how to spell something properly. So I can choose New England Journal of Medicine as journal, and that's auto suggest feature will kick in, so you can choose the one that you want. Okay, so if you're following along on the handout, if you start typing New England, that auto-suggest will appear, and the official journal title is the New England Journal of Medicine. So from here, I could, if I wanted to see all the articles from the New England Journal of Medicine, I could go ahead and search this, but I can also add it to my search history. By clicking this caret menu next to search. And the reason why I'm showing you this is because sometimes you're wanting to build a complex search. You don't want to look at 80,000 citations from the New England Journal of Medicine. You just want to grab those 80,000 citations so you can search within that set. Advanced search is where you can really get that. And adding your search to the history will then put it down under your search history and details further down on the advanced search screen. And so we have it here under most recent. And then just to point out one thing before we continue with using this this search example, PubMed keeps track of your search history for 8 hours. So everything that you've done for 8 hours will be retained under your search history page. After that, especially if you're doing a long-term project and you need to save your search results, definitely download your results because it only saves it for 8 hours at a time. So from the search history, you can also combine your results. We were talking about Boolean operators a little bit ago. And here, under the history and search details, you have an actions menu with 3 dots. And if you click that, you can add your query to the search box. So what I'm going to do is add my query for the New England Journal of Medicine, and it's going to pop it up here into my query box. Now, I want to add my acid reflux search there too. Now that I have something in the query box, I can then add with those 3 Boolean operators, and I want to combine acid reflux with New England Journal of Medicine. So I'm going to add this search to my New England Journal of Medicine search. And then I can either search and look at all of the search results, but I'm a librarian and I want to add it to the history because I just want to see what numbers there are. So then I can be like, oh, okay, there's 114 articles in acid reflux in New England Journal of Medicine. Great. Let me send that to the person that's asking the question. So just know that that the history and search details, you can combine searches together here under the action menu. After you add one, then you'll get the Boolean operators appearing. Okay, so at this point, I'd like to talk just briefly about search details. So we have the history here. They keep it for 8 hours. There's also something called search details. I've talked a lot about how PubMed does things behind the scenes. And here in the search details is where you can see how PubMed has taken your keyword search and enhanced it with things like subject headings. Search details shows you how PubMed interpreted your search. So for the acid reflux example, you can see if you click this details caret, it will show you the search details for the query. So when I expand this acid reflux, it shows me all the other terms that PubMed has searched behind the scenes and given me back in my search results. So you can see that PubMed also searched for gastroesophageal reflux in addition to acid reflux. And what this means for you, for the end user, is that even if you don't know the exact medical term for a condition, for, say, acid reflux, PubMed has a record of that, knows what the term is, and will map your keyword to the official subject heading, medical subject heading, when one exists. So PubMed looks for both our keywords that we typed in, as well as the medical subject heading terms that it identified. And that explains why we saw terms like gastroesophageal reflux bolded on that results page for our original acid reflux search. And that's because gastroesophageal reflux is the official medical subject heading for acid reflux. So our simple keyword search for acid reflux included the official medical subject heading thanks to automatic term mapping. Now, I have, as we're wrapping up, because I only have a few minutes left with you, I want to challenge you. I'm going to give you a challenge. So try this. Go ahead and search the term nosebleed. Search the term nosebleed, right? And you can do that if you click back to the clean PubMed home screen. You can search nosebleed in here. Go ahead and search nosebleed and tell me what the official medical subject heading is for it. Can you find what the official subject heading is for nosebleed? Let's see who got it first. Molly, good job. Epistaxis, correct. That is the official term. And if you work with populations, especially, and I use this with first-year medical students, they love this because half of them don't know the official term for nosebleed, and they're a first-year medical student, and half of them do. And so then you get this competition thing. So it's a great icebreaker for PubMed if you want to nerd out about it. So just to show you how this works, I'm going to type in the term nosebleed and click search. It's going to give me all my search results sorted by, in this case, most recent because I told it to do it most recent. But in your experience, it might be best match for you if you didn't change your display options. But going to advanced, I scroll down. Here's my search for nosebleed. I expand the details, and it shows me that epistaxis is the official term for nosebleed. And it also tells me that it searched for the plural of nosebleed, nosebleeds. So kind of a cool trick. The bottom line here is the search details can be your best friend with PubMed. If you're not sure what PubMed is doing, the search details can explain a lot, like how it's translating your search. You might run into this a lot with using acronyms. Acronyms exist in various modalities of medicine and health professions. And so that's one use case where the search details can tell you if it's actually looking for what you are looking for. Okay. So, oh my, we have spent all the time today. Liz, do we have any more questions?
No, we don't have any more questions at this time.
Cool. Okay, good. Because I want to go ahead and wrap up with another little piece of trivia. And I've said this about 3 times about the PubMed icon always being on the right side of the page. Well, little piece of trivia on the advanced search page, that PubMed link to get back to the clean page is on the left side. No, right side. Okay. Anyway, it's on the opposite side than it usually is. Now, before we end, I just wanted to reiterate, you can always get back to a clean page of PubMed by clicking on the PubMed logo. And I wanted to show you a few more things below the fold of the PubMed search box. We have some features here, learning more about PubMed. The Learn area has a frequently asked questions and user guide. Find will give you links to more ways to search PubMed. You have the advanced search again. A single citation matcher allows you to search for a specific single citation. And then we also have clinical queries, which is another way to search for clinical research articles. You can download an API of PubMed. There's a number of e-utilities that you can use. You also have access to FTP if you're interested in that. And then finally, Explore gives you a link to the medical subject headings database, as well as the National Library of Medicine journals database. So if you're wondering if a journal is indexed or something, then you can check there. Even further down, you have some trending articles. Like social media, this section highlights articles that have had a recent uptick in activity. It showcases articles that aren't necessarily the newest, but have an increase in interest. And even further down, if you need to get help, all the way down, let's see, where did it go? Oh, it has, oh yes, here we go, all the way down. So all the way down at the bottom of the PubMed search page, you have a link to help. And clicking on this link to help will take you to the NLM Support Center. Now, this both has help topics that you can browse or search. You can also write the help desk here. And if you encounter something that's not working in PubMed, or if you have a question about why something is working a certain way, the help desk is a place where you can write and report issues to the development team. Liz has shared a link to that in chat as well. And please know that these messages go to a real live human. You also receive an email confirmation of what you have written to them about. And you can also attach a file. So if you need to screenshot something. So all of this is available to you in order to communicate with the PubMed developers about how PubMed functions. They do not answer health questions, but if you have a question about the functionality of PubMed, this is where you can report that. And we really appreciate when you do, because there's 35 million citations in PubMed and there's like 20 people on the development team. So, you know, the more comments and information we get, the better.
Thanks for watching. This video was produced by the network of the National Library of Medicine. Select the circular channel icon to subscribe to our channel, or select a video thumbnail to watch another video from the channel.